Welcome back, everybody. How are you? Thank you for joining us again in Soul Purpose Leaders. Today, I have an amazing guest, and I cannot wait to show you. This is beautiful person. But before we can go so far, if it's your first time actually joining us in Soul Purpose Leaders, we I started this platform because a lot of people are going through difficulties, are suffering in the world, and they might go in different places, different things that they actually um, are going through in their lives. And what I've done is that bring everyone in and make this platform to actually get those people, showcasing them, different leaders, different people from different backgrounds, and what exactly they have or what they're doing for themselves and what they do for others, and for you to be able to actually maybe even connect with them, maybe have a conversation with them, maybe have a business with them. You don't know, but this is why we're here now. Today, I have an amazing woman. Her name is Palma Black. Yes, you heard that right. And Palma Black was born in London, the fifth of the six children in Jamaican parents. Palma had a passion for playing football and working with her dad, who was a master carpenter and builder. Both activities were frowned upon a girl. We know that, okay? It's a taboo. Her passion for helping others and for social justice became apparent as a young child. Palmer described her formative years as being shaped by racism, fighting racists in the playground and on the streets, and tackling racism in school was normal. Some would later say that it was no wonder what she became involved in an anti-racist movement. A founder member of the Anti-Racist Alliance, ARA, Palmer was the instigator behind the Stephen Lawrence family campaign in April 1993, when the mainstream news refused to carry the story. She has worked in community development ever since, supporting, nurturing, and enabling communities through physical and social generation. Today, she works as a community engagement consultant, a trained personal performance coach, Palmer, the founder and director of Soul Purpose 360, a coaching and mentoring social enterprise created to support Black women in the community development sector to be more and more for themselves and their community. Palma Black, she's a survivor of domestic violence and a mother of two daughters, lived in Surrey with her cats. What an amazing story. Oh my goodness. Your biography is like it's it's like a book, and you need to write a book about this, okay? Because oh my God, there's more to it. Palma Black, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Barke. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. First thing I want to ask is that you fighting from racist since a young age. How did
Yeah.
that came from? Was it in your house? Did you see it somewhere?
You
Who
know,
inspired you?
when I was a little girl, we lived in a place called Deptford in southeast London, in the borough of Lewisham, and at that time racism was rife, and I remember. So some of my very earliest memories were of racist incidents. I remember really clearly. It must have been about 3 years old. I was sat in the buggy on the estate where we lived, and um, noise and argument, and a white woman slapping my mum. And the fight broke out, and one of the neighbours, another black woman, gave my mum the hose for the vacuum,
Mm.
and she swung it. And I was eating an ice cream, and the top of my ice cream went. But even at that time, I was very, very aware that this woman was angry because of the color of my mum's skin, you know. And I'll tell this, it's not really a story. So my name is Black. And so when I was very young, you know, I thought that we were famous because everywhere we went, people were calling us out, Black, Black, Black. We used to hear it all the time. But it was never in a really good way, you know, because after it became something else, you black monkey or black something like that. And so I became very much aware as a child coming up, you know, that the color of my skin would incense white people, you know. So, you know, when I talk about being shaped by racism, I mean the impact of growing up in a time where people would just scream out and shout racist abuse at children, you know, children just playing, you know, they would make their way over to us and racially abuse us. And that was a time that we grew up in. So there was always that feeling of not belonging, fearful, you know. We couldn't play out as children, as ordinary children, when we moved to Hither Green. And we didn't really understand why our parents didn't want us to play out, because it was scary out there. Yeah, really
That must be very scary. But then you have one battle to fight outside with everybody else, but then now you've got another battle, because now you're not just acting as a lady, you're acting as a tomboy. So tell us a bit about that as well.
My parents had 6 children, and we were 2 girls, 2 boys, 2 girls in that order. So I was number 5. And I was acutely aware that my older brothers were having a very much easier time than I was. You know, they were able to go out and play, you know, and we were expected to fulfill, you know, womanly duties in the house, doing the housework. And I'd watch my brothers and thinking, yeah, they're having so much more fun. But I, you know, loved playing football. It was a real big passion for me as a young child. And I would be able to get out and play with my brothers. But I wanted to play football more, you know, and so that kind of shaped me in terms of, you know, this is who I am. I love playing football. I was very much aware that I was the only girl playing football, and I was good. I was really good. You know, we used to go to Lewisham Leisure Centre on a Saturday morning, and I used to, you know, get to play, and I played in the girls team and in the mixed team, and on some occasions I actually was able to play in the boys team as well. So I played for Lewisham, and I absolutely loved doing that. And I also, and I said earlier on, you know, I loved working with my dad, you know, working with tools, building things and creating things, working with my hands. I love working with wood. And at the moment, actually, Barke, I'm working on a project in my own garden. I'm building an outhouse.
Wow.
With my own hands, you know, out of pallet woods, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, you know, there's always that. But the point is that, you know, being Black and growing up in a racist environment, being a girl, being a tomboy in a very sexist environment, you know, there was all of these challenges that were, you know, I was battling with all the time, just trying to be who I wanted to be. And it was this struggle that was unsupported as a child, you know, and as an adult now I realize that story of being a Black girl is so common. It's so common that it really does put limitations on what we can be, what we can do, where we can go, you know, that it, you know, that's the constant battle.
It is, indeed, it is, and it's still going. This is where the problem is still happening. Now, you dedicate your life fighting for injustice, fighting and showing people how they can actually do better, or where, or, you know, where to find support and what to do. So tell us a bit, when, you know, coming out from your childhood, yourself battling with those, or your own fears of thinking that, you know, you are a celebrity, to knowing that, oh my God, no, I'm not, I've been attacked actually, and now fighting for others. Tell us that times of you actually making the decision and say, this is what I'm going to do.
Do you know, it wasn't a conscious decision. you know, whether that be about me kind of just going with the flow, or whether that was me following my path. It wasn't a conscious decision that I was going to get involved in anything like this. As a young child, you know, I always wanted to help people. You know, helping people is what I've always wanted to do. So as a young child, I wanted to be a doctor. That was, you know, my idea of helping people. You know, someone's sick, you make them better. What more could somebody want than to actually help people with their health? But, you know, I had a fear of dead bodies. When I got to uni and they told me that I have to work on a dead body for the next 7 years, it's like, whoa, can't do that. And again, you know, as an adult, I realized that those limiting beliefs came from how I was brought up. You know, my mum's very strongly Christian, and, you know, there's this whole stigma around dead bodies and you know, doppy, you know, ghosts and all, and bad evil spirits and all of those kind of things. And, you know, I wasn't really at a place to kind of create that disconnect. After I left university, I met a man. He was involved in Black politics, and he took me along to a meeting, and it was like the scales had fallen off my eyes. You know, this pain that I'd grown up with called racism, that became part of my life. I was, you know, opened up to people that were actually doing something about it, you know, both here and abroad. And I think it was actually a Pan-Africanist meeting that I went to. It was held in Brixton. And I was telling someone just this the other day, actually, it was in the town hall. I remember going in there and being surrounded by these amazing looking people wearing full African garments. And they just looked so regal. And listening to these speakers talking about the struggles in South Africa, it was nothing like what we'd heard on the news over here. These personal testimonies were so powerful. And then at the end of the event, they sung the South African national anthem, which wasn't the national anthem at the time. Blew me away. And I think from then it was almost like this is kind of the direction that I want to go in, you know. So after that, I followed this man to a Labour Party Black sections meeting. And I left. That was my very first political meeting, and I left being elected National Women's Officer. I mean, talk about out of your depth. And only because when I got to the meeting and heard the women speaking, I was so, oh my God, enthused and motivated, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And so by the end of that, they voted me into this position. I mean, I didn't even know at that time what an agenda was. I didn't know how to chair a meeting. I knew nothing, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of Black women that were, and black men as well within the Black sections that were doing something positive about this pain, this experience that I'd had all my life. It was the start of a different journey for me.
Do you believe that was just that was like kind of your opening of your passion, something that you knew you cannot live without doing in your life?
Yeah, I felt, and I still feel, a sense of responsibility to do something about it, you know, in my own way. I learned the hard way through the Anti-Racist Alliance that that probably wasn't the way for me.
Yeah.
You know, for so many reasons. I can't even get into them all with you today. It was an amazing experience to be a part of the ARA. You know, I learned so much. I met some amazing people. You know, I was a part of an amazing change. You know, we created that organisation to change the law, to make racial harassment and violence specific criminal offences, because up until then, if somebody racially abused you and attacked you, you know, the racial abuse part didn't matter. It wasn't relevant, you know. So this law changed that, you know, and for me, being a part of that was huge. Being a part of giving birth to the Stephen Lawrence movement, because very early on, the news were not interested in Stephen Lawrence. You know, it was due to the efforts of people within the Anti-Racist Alliance that really, really made sure that this became newsworthy. Because if it hadn't at that time, it would have just dissipated. So there's a lot that went into that. But also, what came out of that was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
A lot of pain for the people involved in it. And I have managed over the years to process what that was all about. There was lots of competition in that time, because this had before it broke, it had the potential to be something really, really big, because of the numbers, because there had been so many racist murders in that area. You know, that there was this link between the existence of the British National Party that we wanted to highlight, and the fact that this family had been like any other family, living their lives, you know, trying to ignore racism, trying to get on in this multicultural society, and they had experienced racism in the worst way. That, you know, this had the potential to be a game changer, and you know, I look back and I'm so glad that I was a part of that.
Yeah.
But like I said, there was so much that went wrong. You know, there was lots of sexism in there. There was lots of racism within the organisation itself. I mean, you think that the Anti-Racist Alliance was set up to provide a leadership role for Black people so that we could advocate for our own struggles.
Yeah.
But the white people that joined really had this attitude that this was their struggle, this was theirs to lead, that we as Black people didn't know what was right for us. That white saviour mentality. So we were constantly fighting racism within the organisation. It made no sense whatsoever. And then in the end, these very same people, because they couldn't lead it their own way, decided that it needed to be disrupted. And so it imploded. You know, and that's what happened to the Anti-Racist Alliance. You know, it was a formidable force. It had the potential to do so much, but, you know, the racists within the organisation destroyed it.
Yeah, and that's the saddest thing, but that is also the honest thing, the truth, that is the reality of life.
That's
Because
my truth. That's
yeah,
my truth. That's what I saw. That's what I know to be the case, you know, and so many different variations have been told ever since, but that story hasn't been told.
yeah, and this is the thing, because it's you saw it, you felt it, and you went through it, so you know it. This is your part, or your opinion, in your say in what you've actually experienced. Now, also, if we talk about the racist in itself, the, you know, with the Black Lives Matters, when the movement is opened up, it's like, for people to see that way of like, oh my God, the whole world came together and just really making an impact. What is your opinion on that area as well?
When George Floyd was killed, I had completely disconnected from social media, from the news. My dad had died a few weeks previously. So, you know, as a family, we were really not engaging with what was going on. But I do remember it must have been about within the week of the murder, switching back on, and then just bearing witness to this groundswell of discussion and debate around racism. And it was really as if, you know, I'd plugged out and I'd now plugged back in. And, you know, I for one have never watched the 8-minute 49 seconds video. At that time, I couldn't, you know, I was grieving for my dad. I literally couldn't take any more on. You know, we were in lockdown. It was this awful time. And my daughter came and said to me, she said, "Mummy, why is everyone making it, you know, big news about this man?" And I said, "Jazara, because they've seen for the first time, they've witnessed, it's been on the news, it's in their face, they can't ignore it. But we don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, we know that this happens. You know, we you know, this is our experience." I think not getting into the George Floyd murder, the lynching, the public lynching, it's been talked to death. What's come out of it for me, Barke, has been the amazing ignition of resilience in young people. You know, to see so many young Black people and white people as well standing up and talking out against racism, that is amazing. To see the willingness of many white people to listen and understand, and the platform that's been provided for us as Black people to talk about and share our experience, that's been amazing. You know, because even amongst Black people, you know, we are sharing more. And one of the things that I've learned is the amount of racism I experienced as a child. I thought that was normal. I thought that was every Black person's experience. It wasn't. You know, some people, you know, haven't experienced the degree to what I experienced. You know, when I was a child, we used to be chased home by racist dogs every single day. I mean, literally, there was a family of racists who lived on the corner. They would wait for my brother, my sister, myself to have to walk along that road. It was quite a long road, and they would set their dogs after us. And, you know, that was my second experience of being terrorized by racist dogs. And to this very day, I have an absolute fear of dogs, absolute fear of dogs. And that's just how much, you know, these experiences shape us as people. So where we're at the moment is Pandora's box has been opened.
Yeah.
You know, this is tied to where we are with the elections in America, to the current state of affairs with COVID and the fact that it's impacting African, Caribbean and Asian people at far greater rates. So there's this whole interconnected dimension, which is all about the impact of racism and injustice on us as people. And I have this feeling that we need to come together to create this paradigm shift. It's so possible to do that.
It is, and I do believe that as well. And this is why because end of the day, the way I started my business and the way sometimes people, they like, no, concentrate on yours, concentrate on yourself, also concentrate on just being, but not really, because if you're just being and just be by yourself, you have no power. You're just one person, and you might be not having everything that's working for you. But if you're actually connecting and actually uniting and being together, you can change the world. And that's the way I believe. And this is why I'm here doing this, because bringing different minds in one place, you can, oh my goodness, things can be done. And
Absolutely.
actually having you as well here to share with us all this knowledge about racism and about life itself, the way Black people they're going through, but what exactly the impact we're giving in ourselves, but also with other people. Because I'm being honest, okay? Even myself, I try to overlook the racist cards, or try to overlook the no, it's not happening. It's not happening. You know what I mean? At work or whilst I'm walking or anywhere, I'm just trying. No, I'm not gonna say that word. You know what I mean? Thinking that I'm saving myself, thinking that, you know, I'm protecting myself, but it's still going on. There's still people who actually do it on purpose. So what can you give advice to someone like even myself? You know, we're trying to stay away. We're trying to, we're in denial, I would say. You know what I mean? With this way of thinking that if I don't see it, if I don't look at it, if I don't open to it, to hear it, if I don't say it, that means it's not happening.
Do you know, I think it's really down to the individual and the path that we choose. There are so many of us that don't feel that we can ignore it, and there are so many that try to ignore it and those that do. And wherever you are on that spectrum, that's your response to dealing with racism. And we all have free will to choose how we deal with it. You know, I think what's happening now is many more people are finding the strength and the courage to face it head on, to admit, to deal with how it's impacted us. And I think that that's part of the direction in which we're traveling, that even for Black people, we are having these conversations and we are sharing our experience. We're opening up and we're doing that. And it's a healing process for us, isn't it? Yeah. It's being able to justify our experiences. You know, it's being able, giving us an opportunity to understand who we are and why we are, and to gain some strength, some inner strength from that. I wouldn't want to know that my children are experiencing what I experienced. You know, I can only imagine now as a parent how frightened my parents must have been for us. You know, so I never really understood why my parents wanted us to play outside. They were never great explainers, you know, and that's one of the things that I've changed as a parent. I give my children explanations for things, because I realized that they need to know, they need to be aware. But there was also that our parents were not fully aware what was going on for us. You know, many of us that experienced racism in school never shared that with our parents, because our parents had faith in the education system. They didn't know what we were going through, and to be honest, they couldn't help us. You know, that was the battle that we had to face. You know, from racist teachers, from the children, from the fact that, you know, we weren't getting the education that our parents had hoped that we would get.
It's so true. It's so true, because even for me, looking at my son or my daughter and thinking about them, it's kind of like more worry for me than for myself, if you can understand it. So for me, it was just really like, especially, you know, for my son to go out and wearing a hoodie or wearing, you know, dark clothes, and he can be stopped at any time, worrying about all those things. It's kind of scary at the same time. Every time he comes home, I'm like, thank God he's alive, he's okay. And that is that stigma, that is that really, you know, kind of fear that especially Black people are going through, and it's hidden away, you know what I mean, and eating them. It's sad, really, to be in this kind of environment, thinking of the way we're thinking.
It is what it is. And, you know, back to your original question, I don't feel that I have an option not to do anything about it. I'm not, and I've chosen not to be an MP. I've chosen not to have my name up in lights in this. For me, doing what I do, doing what I've always done, is me doing it in my own way. And so there are people that are in all walks of life, in different professions, that are doing something positive in their own way. And it doesn't mean that we have to have our name in lights. You know, it just means that we don't let racists get away. You know, that we constantly working to create change for the better for others. You know, and that's why I kind of, you know, lots of reasons have decided to create this social enterprise called Soul Purpose. That I love your title, Soul Purpose Leaders. I get it, because Soul Purpose 360 is my soul purpose. I couldn't think of a better name for it than my soul purpose. And it's about bringing other people and allowing them to realize their soul purpose as well.
Exactly. We had a conversation once, and we were talking about the soul purpose. And I had a different name for this platform. But then when we were talking, and it was just like everything calls in soul purpose, soul purpose. And I was like, oh my God. You know, I was like, what have you done to me, Palma? This is crazy. So I was inspired by you to actually call it Soul Purpose Leaders, because someone like yourself, this is something that is embedded inside of you and is
Yeah.
actually coming out and flowing outside of you by actually helping. Now, you creating this platform of Soul Purpose 360. Tell us a bit about that, please.
So Soul Purpose and the name Soul Purpose 360 came about because in 2015, I was made redundant from this job that I was going to leave anyway, and the redundancy was just the icing on the cake, really. And when I left, I wanted to do more, and I wanted to be more. I wanted to be much more effective. So I was head of community regeneration at a large G15 housing association. And whilst it was a good job and it paid well, I didn't feel fulfilled.
Mm.
You know, my day-to-day wasn't really concerned with helping people in communities to live better lives. You know, it was about the organisation. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel I was living my purpose. I didn't feel effective. All of these things.
Yeah.
And so I'd made this decision to leave. And then, you know, I remember saying, you know, God, please, you know, you put me here. You know, when the time is right, I know that you'll open the way for me.
Mm.
And after being off sick from work for 4 months, I came back to find that, you know, they're going to go through this change management process.
Mm.
And I prayed that that redundancy would be an option for me. And it was fantastic. And at that time, I began to want to really kind of understand, you know, what my life held for me. At that time, Barke, I had a sister, my sister Pauline, who had cancer. And I knew that she was going to die. And so she and I would talk a lot about life and, you know, talk about, you know, the importance of being fulfilled in our lives. And what became really clear was the importance of confidence. You know, if you don't have confidence, you are not going to live a fulfilled life.
True.
And here was my sister who had lacked confidence. And I could see the impact of that on her life. And I began to look around at other people and realize just how powerful that characteristic is. You know, you can have no confidence, you can have a little confidence, you can have a lot of confidence. And this is how I came to coaching. And through our conversations, we would talk about life and the meaning of life. And I was really concerned at that point to make my life mean something.
Yeah.
You know, to not step away from this path that I knew was there for me. I just needed the confidence to step up and step out. And so I came to coaching and wanted to set up an organization, but really wanted it to reflect who I was and what it is I wanted to do. I wanted to help Black women to live fulfilled lives.
Yeah.
I wanted to provide a space for Black women to learn about themselves, become much more aware, to understand their inner strengths and build on those. You know, for many years working in community development, I'd come across so many Black women who had amazing project ideas for their communities, amazing business ideas. And when you start talking and their passion would really come through, and then, you know, the light would fall from their eyes and, you know, they would have all these obstacles that was preventing them from doing that. Obstacles like being a single parent, obstacles like, you know, not having, you know, education the way that they wanted, all of these limiting beliefs that they put in their way to say that these are all the reasons why I can't do this. And so what I wanted was to use my coaching for Black women, to enable them to see that they could be more, so that they could do more for themselves and for others. And so that I realized was my sole purpose. And so that's how, you know, my coaching became my sole purpose.
Amazing. And tell us, where would people find you? Where do you like to
So
hang around?
we've got a website, solepurpose.co.uk. We've got an active WhatsApp group where women come together and we share information, and a lot of laughs happen in there, but a lot of motivation and inspiration happen in that group as well. These are like-minded women, women like me, some amazing women, absolutely amazing women that have, you know, experience and knowledge and expertise, and they come together to share with each other, to uplift each other. And you know, it really is a space for empowered Black women to empower other Black women. It's absolutely amazing. I'm on Instagram at Soul Purpose 360 and on Twitter as well. So yeah, you know, get some information, make connections, and be a part of this. We have this amazing network of women. So the Soul Purpose 360 networking and empowerment circle is just that. You know, we are that village.
Amazing. And it's just making you, it's like you just want to go in and you just want to stay there when you're talking. It's just amazing. Thank you for that. And also wanted to ask you, what is the, if you have a message to the world, what would that message be?
You know, I was having a conversation with my daughter this morning, and we were talking about reincarnation, and we were talking about songs that our ancestors used to sing, songs that talked about, going through the sufferation while we're here and being free when we're dead, you know, in the afterlife. And that's where the glory for our life used to be. And I remember hearing my mum, she used to sing some of those old, Caribbean songs, those religious songs. And I remember saying to my mum as a child, I don't get it. You know, why are we not expected to enjoy our life? Why is the salvation, the freedom, the happiness, why is that when we're dead? You know, we only pass this way once, you know, and there is something about making your life count, you know, living a good life, living a wholesome life, living a life where you contribute to the making other people's lives better. Yeah. So I believe that we all have a responsibility to live well with one another, to strive for the goodness of one another in whatever way you choose to do it. There isn't just one way. You know, we can all get up and decide that we're going to do one good deed for the day. We can decide that we're going to dedicate our lives to doing good for other people in lots of different ways. And I believe that if we just do good, yeah, things will be good for all of us.
That's really amazing. And it's so true, because it's okay. We are here, we're alive, and we spend maybe what, 80 years if you're lucky to 100, and it should count for something. And what you're saying is so true. It's not just looking after or looking forward to death, but actually, what have you done for your life that will count, or that will you will leave behind? And that's the most important thing. Palma, would you be willing to come back to this amazing platform?
I have really enjoyed talking with you. And, you know, one of the things is the conversation that we've had, you know, I have these kind of conversations with women in the network, and it's a really empowering place. You know, some of these, some of the stories that I've drawn upon are stories that I haven't shared in very many circles, because there hasn't been that space to do that. And I think that what you've put together, Barke, is amazing. And I think it's timely. And I think that, you know, when you have a forum where people can come together and share and have that validation for the experiences that we've all been through, knowing that there are others that can hold our hand on our journey and make our lives so much better. and we're bringing joy and comfort to other people as well. That's amazing. So yes, I'd absolutely love to come back.
Thank you so much. You'll hear me knocking by January. So I've got something else I want to do. And thank you so much for today. Would you like to share anything before we close this beautiful platform for today?
Just to watch out for Soul Purpose Post. Soul Purpose 360 is a relatively new organisation. And you know, we're looking to grow the network. We're looking to reach out to Black women all over the UK who are actively involved in their communities or who have a desire to be involved in their communities but don't know where to start. I've got over 30 years experience of working in community development, so I also do mentoring as well. I've got a network of women that are willing to share their knowledge and experience and skills to grow the network, and we're planning to have many more community-based Soul Purpose 360 networks, because we know how busy we are as Black women, and we're hoping to have these in your neighbourhoods. So you won't have to go far to meet other Black women who are doing what you're doing in your community, to get that support and that sisterhood thing going, and really just to grow an army of Black women up and down the country who are confident leaders in their own right, who are doing things passionately in their community and knowing that other Black women have got their back.
Amazing. Wow, that's beautiful. And yes, it's needed. Can't wait. And for everybody else, I can't wait for next time for her to come back, because we want to know more what she's been doing. So thank you so much, Palma Black, as you had her. And I cannot wait for the next guest. I don't know who's going to be, so keep an eye. And thank you so much for your amazing day, amazing time that you gave us. And with all the technical difficulties that you put up with us today. And so thank you. And I'm so grateful for you to be here.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barke. You take care. Have a blessed day.
And for everybody else, I'll see you soon.